There are a lot of big stars in Hollywood, and one of the biggest of the bunch is Denzel Washington. The award-winning actor has played all sorts of roles over the years, from dirty cops to legendary football coaches to equalizers and so on. He's a beacon of good out there and constantly tries to help others. But outside of the very public things, how much do you really know the man? Do you understand some of the smaller details that make him tick? Allow us to show you 9 facts you didn't know about Denzel Washington. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 9. Prepping himself. A role in a movie is not just any other gig for Denzel. It's something worth a lot of research to understand the character that he will portray. For example, before featuring in the 1993 film The Pelican Brief, Denzel had to spend months interacting and going through the day-to-day motions with actual reporters of the Washington Post. Furthermore, he had an opportunity in the film to put his drama and journalism degrees to good use. In addition, before playing his role as Malcolm X in 1992, Denzel played the same role in a production called When the Chickens Came Home to Roost. Denzel went through training at Fort Irwin's National Training Center, in preparation for his role in Courage Under Fire, where he took part in battle games, listened to Desert Storm audio tapes, qualified as a trained M1A1 tank handler, and learned to use a 120mm firearm. And you can likely bet that for other roles he did just as much preparation, such as the very action-oriented Equalizer films, or looking up Coach Boone for Remember the Titans. For him, this is an art form, and he wants to make sure he's ready to paint that canvas of the film as best he can when he performs. Number 8. Boys and Girls Club. He credits the Boys and Girls Club of America in Mount Vernon, where he grew up, for helping him to keep on the straight and narrow. He's a spokesman for the organization today. In fact, he's done several commercials for them and has gone above and beyond the call to try and bring more kids to the club in order to help them for the future and ensure they have a place to call home outside their home. This is the kind of thing that warms your heart because you wouldn't exactly expect a major star like Denzel to do something like this. But he's a very grateful man and a humble one, so he wants to go and pass the goodwill along like it was for him once upon a time. Number 7. The Prophecy. Now, after numerous roles and becoming one of the most respected and sought-after actors in the industry, it is hard to think of Washington as anything other than the star. And apparently, someone knew that way before it happened. As it turns out, when he was still young, Washington was at his mother's beauty parlor when a woman, who was there getting her hair done and was known in the community as a prophetess, saw him and instantly wrote a prophecy about him. She wrote that Washington would grow up and become someone who spoke to millions. The actor kept the piece of paper with the prophecy on it in his wallet for years. Sure enough, that prophecy came true in its own way, because via his award speeches or his community outreach via the Boys and Girls Club, he does indeed speak to millions. You could also argue that his movies speak to people as you watch them, so yeah, that's another way to interpret this very accurate prophecy. Number 6. College life. Like many students out there battling with what they think they want to become and what their talents are driving them towards, Denzel had to go through a few courses before discovering what he wanted in life. Denzel had a desire to become a doctor, so he studied biology in Fordham University. After a while, he changed his dreams and studied political science. Since he was still undecided, Denzel dropped out of school for one semester to work as a director of creative arts at a YMCA summer camp. During the camp, Denzel discovered his talent in acting, and with encouragement from friends at the camp, he went back to college and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in drama and journalism. A common misconception about actors like Denzel is that they were destined to be actors, and while that may be true on a certain level, Denzel certainly didn't know he wanted to be an actor until certain life changes, and that should say something. Number 5. Military school. Washington began going to school at Pennington Grimes Elementary School until 1968, but when his parents divorced when he was 14, his mother sent him to a private school. Washington was sent to Oakland Military Academy in New Windsor, New York, and revealed if his mother had not done that, he probably would have ended up living his life in a gang. That decision changed my life, because I wouldn't have survived in the direction I was going. The guys I was hanging out with at the time, my running buddies, have now done maybe 40 years combined in the penitentiary. They were nice guys, but the streets got them. This is another of those key moments that people don't think about in lives like Denzel's, because he could have, by his own admission, gone down a very dark path, but life and luck guided him somewhere else. Though ironically, he has gone and done roles as certain gang people and a dirty cop via Training Day, but that was just acting, thankfully. Number 4. He prefers to do stunts himself. Though it is hard to tell when watching a movie, many actors have people performing their stunts for them. Having someone perform your stunts is acceptable, though an actor who performs all of his own earns him or herself a great reputation. Just like Jackie Chan, Denzel has performed many of his own stunts in films such as the 2010 hit The Book of Eli, where he engaged in hand-to-hand fighting sequences. Denzel was back at it in the 2012 hit Safe House, where he did most of his stunts, including the disorienting waterboarding scene. This trend has very much followed through in Hollywood, including Keanu Reeves doing all of his own action sequences in John Wick, to the point where they couldn't be called stunts because they were just Keanu doing work. And Denzel has done that same work. Number 3. Fighting with Quentin Tarantino. Denzel Washington has never been the type of person or actor to not speak his mind, and he did not hold back when working with director Quentin Tarantino on the set of Crimson Tide in the early 90s. The two men got into a fight on set when Washington, who starred in the film, confronted the director after Tarantino had done some rewrites that included many racial slurs. As the actor blew up at Tarantino, the director reportedly wanted to move the discussion to somewhere private, but Washington felt it was something everyone needed to hear. Despite the tension, years later, Washington revealed he and Tarantino had made amends. "I buried the hatchet. I sought him out 10 years ago. I told him, look, I apologize. You've just gotta let that go. You gonna walk around with that the rest of your life?" He seemed relieved. He added that his own daughter, Katya, was working with Tarantino on Django Unchained, stating, "Here we are 10 years later, and my daughter is working with Quentin. Life is something." Life is something indeed, and yet that fight showed many layers to Denzel's personality that some likely wouldn't know about. Number 2. Perfect example of beauty. Trust us, this is science. In line with public opinion, a cover story article on a 1996 issue of Newsweek explained that Denzel Washington was a perfect example of beauty. According to the article, facial symmetry is a determinant in the level of attractiveness of an individual. Therefore, since Denzel at that time had an almost perfect facial symmetry, he qualified to be the perfect scientific explanation of good looking. This article was based on a study of the perception of what people consider beauty to be, and judging by the reaction of Denzel's women fans, the article and its findings was and still is right. Science! Number 1. Turning down big roles. Like many actors before and after him, Denzel has chosen his roles carefully before signing on the dotted line. Some of the roles that Denzel turned down ended up becoming huge box office successes, roles he has looked back on and regretted not accepting. One role that Denzel regretted declining was that of a detective in an early 90s film called Seven, a role that Brad Pitt took up and became a huge success. Denzel was also the initial choice for the leading role in the movie Blade, which Wesley Snipes is famous for today. Also, Jimon Hunsu has a Golden Globe nomination for his role in Amistad, which Denzel also turned down. Granted, Denzel has had plenty of big-name films to his credits and plenty of nominations and award wins as well, but you do have to wonder what it would have been like if he'd been in some of those roles. So what do you think? What do you think about this look at Denzel Washington and how he is much more than the actor you likely thought he was? Does hearing these facts give you a reason to like him even more? What do you think about the roles that he's done over the years, and which is your favorite? How long do you think he'll continue to go and act in movies? Let us know in the comments below, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.